Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to episode number 84 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joe Sangle, a member of the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not team, and I am fired up to be with you on this Monday, or whatever day you chose to dial in to the podcast. Dial in, that's old terms. I'm excited, and I'm being mocked by my co-host already off screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see her making fun of me. Her name is Megan Hibbard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Yeah, fired up.
Yeah.
And it's so great. We're headed towards springtime here in the South. In South Carolina, February 10th, this is when all the daffodils start blooming. So if you're up in Wisconsin, you know, you're a couple months away, but they're already here. We'll send you some pictures. Maybe check it out on Instagram. We'll show some pictures of the tulips starting to come up as well. Fired up about today's topic. Tell everybody what we're going to be talking about and the question of the day.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about, is all debt equal? So our question is, I want to hear your thoughts on debt. Dave Ramsey says no to all debt except maybe a house. Others say use other people's money. I'm so confused. Help.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of fun with this. And so make sure you stick through all of this podcast. I think it's going to be very helpful for you on how you view debt. And we're going to talk about all the details of it. And I'm going to just share with you my thoughts, my own opinions. And then Megan's going to share her thoughts and opinions. And our cast to you is not to convince you of our way is right. Our way, what we're going to try to do with this episode is try to help you have clear understanding of what your feelings are about debt, and that you can enunciate them in a way to others in the way that we do our feelings about debt to you.
Yeah.
So I hope that's clear.
That is. Yeah, it's great. Okay. So we have a featured resource for this month. So it is the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not study. And that study, if you're looking on YouTube, you can see it's a picture of the book and a workbook study guide. And so when you purchase the study kit this month, you'll receive instant access to the 6 video teaching lessons for free. So if you've already purchased the study kit, you can purchase the instant access to the 6 video lessons for a nominal fee. So visit iwbnin.com/online to learn more. And I think it's great. I think a lot of people pick up the participant kit at events or online, and then they're like, hey, they kind of should go along with the DVD, but the DVD is $50. So maybe you want the DVD. We also can include a link to that too, but we have this online version for this month that allows you to
and it's super cheap for the individual to get it.
And it allows you to be able to do it in your home, maybe with your spouse, or maybe you have a little small group that you want to do it with. So, yeah, it's great.
It's great. I encourage you to check that out. That's a great way to continue your great start to this year and winning with your money. Before we dive into answering the featured question of this episode, it's that great time of the podcast, one of my favorite times. Do you know what that is? Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by the 0% interest balance transfer credit card page at I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you accidentally ramped up a balance over the holidays or with the start of the new year, this is a great way to eliminate all of the interest and speed up your way to debt freedom. Check it out at iwbnin.com. Click on Next Steps, then 0% credit cards.
There you go. And today's current money events topic, today's current money events section is contribution limits to your retirement accounts. We always like to be R&R right here, right now relevant at worldwide headquarters of I Was Broke, Now I'm Not in Anderson, South Carolina. And we're going to talk about contribution limits to your retirement accounts and other tax advantage investment accounts. We want you to be able to max these out, and hopefully that's an issue for you. If it is not currently an issue for you, maxing out your contributions to your retirement account, just go up that ladder. You'll be there before you know it, and this is going to be very relevant to you. And we want to make sure you maximize the amount of money you get put into tax shelters. It's very important. And you can contribute to 2019 stuff through tax season of April 15th, the filing deadline. And that can be an important part of your tax planning. Of course, see your CPA and all that. But I wanted to share the limits, ask you the question, are you maxing them out? So, Megan, share everybody what the IRA contribution limit is for 2019 and what is for 2020.
Okay, so for 2019, it was $6,000 or $7,000 if you're over 50 years old. And then for 2020, it has unchanged.
That's right.
It's staying the same.
Staying the same. So $6,000, that's $500 a month. And if you're over 50, You got a little bit of that tinge of gray showing up, what I call summer blonde. Then you can add an extra $1,000 a year to that. That's $83 a month. So $583.33 a month will make $7,000. And I encourage you to max it out. This is very important. You're not growing younger while you're listening to this podcast. And it's important for you to prepare for that great day when you get to say, peace out, I'm out of here. As I say all the time in our office, all of us are part-time employees. Some of us for 3 months, some of us for 40 years. But we're all temporary, and there will be a last time you walk through those doors of that office. I want you to be able to have a great retirement plan. And so that's important. Now, 401k is that workplace-sponsored plan. How did you get that name, 401k? Well, it's tax law, section 401, part K. You know, it's a genius name. The Canadians got it right when they call it an RSP, a retirement savings plan. Seems
makes
to
it a lot
make more
easier.
sense.
Yep.
But in 2019, you can contribute a lot. In 2020, you can contribute more. Share everybody what those numbers are to contribute to your company's 401k or 403b, 457 type plan.
Yes. So in 2019, it was $19,000. In 2020, it's $19,500. And if you're 50 plus, you can contribute $6,500 additional. So
Yeah.
it was up from $6,000 to $6,500.
So that's big numbers.
Yeah.
So watch this. You can, in 2019, you could have contributed $19,000 of your pay, regardless of the company match, to the 401k. In 2020, it's up $500. And if you're over 50, you can, instead of contributing an additional $6,000, you can contribute an extra $6,500. You add that up, that's $26,000 a year
True.
to your company retirement plan. This is very important. I get to meet with a lot of people who are 50 plus, and they do max this out. And so I want you to know, as a listener, if you're just starting out your money journey, maybe your early 20s, there's a way for you to get in position to do this. And a lot of people do this. You know, the last kid has left the house. They're out of college. They're all on their own. And all of a sudden, mom and dad's money no longer has, you know, the things pulling on it, you know, kids, growing kids, paying for the school. And as a result, they can contribute more. That's really important to think about. And it's how they really stuff full that retirement account as they get into those final years of working and preparing for retirement. So I encourage you to think about how you can max that out. Now, there's another type of employment plan, a retirement plan called a simple IRA. That's what we have here. It's for small businesses generally, and SIMPLE, simple IRA. And share what the contribution limits are for 2019 and the increase in 2020.
Yep. So 2019, it was $13,000. In 2020, it's gone up to $13,500.
There you go.
Yep. And if you're 50 plus, you can contribute $3,000 additional dollars, and that's unchanged in 2020.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's a big deal. And so since we have a simple IRA at the I Was Broke Worldwide headquarters, it might not shock anybody that Joe Sengel maxes his out. I like to max mine out. Having climbed up that ladder, I've positioned myself to be able to do that. I am not 50 plus, and so I'm a little angry that I can't contribute as much as a 401k type person who is allowed to contribute $19,500. I'm only allowed to contribute $13,500. But I'm glad that it went up $500, and so I'm going to max that out. In fact, on January 2nd, I text Matt, our great friend in the finance office, and said, take $13,500, divide it by 12, and make that my monthly contribution, because I want to take advantage of those tax-advantaged savings and investment opportunities. Okay, now we wanted to talk about, since we're right now relevant in the current money events section, we want to talk about non-retirement stuff too that's also tax-advantaged. And so one of those is
A health savings account.
That's right. And health savings accounts are for people who have high deductible health plans. So it has to be a certified high deductible health plan. And there's specific IRS language that defines what a high deductible health care plan is. You'll know it because your provider will call it an HDHP, high deductible health plan. And in 2019, you could contribute different amounts, and now they've increased it in 2020. Share with us what those limits are.
All right, in 2019, you could contribute $3,500 for individual coverage and $7,000 for family coverage. And in 2020, it's gone up to $3,550 for individual coverage and $7,100 for family coverage. And if you're 55 plus, you can contribute an additional $1,000.
That's right. And you can continue to contribute to your 2019 IRA, Roth IRA, and HSA through April 15th. The health savings account, as we like to strive with right now relevant information, is you can use HSA health savings account money for non-medical expenses once you are age 65. And so at age 65, that money can be used for anything or for nothing. And it also is not taxed. So it will grow tax-free, and it functions like a Roth IRA in that the required minimum distributions, which if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that changed from 70 and a half years old to 72 years old. It is not subject to RMDs, required minimum distributions. And so I have maxed out my health savings account, and I pay for my medical expenses to the best of my ability out of pocket, and I have invested my HSA money. You can do that. I use HSA Bank, and they are tied to TD Ameritrade, which is getting ready to become Schwab, and another right now relevant information.
Yeah.
And that allows me, hopefully, I'll be able to grow that as a separate retirement account. It's a way I'm making up the difference between the 401k and the simple IRA. And I encourage everybody to think about ways that they can maximize their contributions to their investment accounts in planning for that great day of retirement. We will include links to the irs.gov definitions of this and the current limits, as well as a great article that they've written with new revisions for when you can, the contribution deadlines. And those will be in the show notes. And so that's it for the right now relevant current money events section. Was that pretty good?
Yeah, it was good. Great job.
That's a lot of numbers, a lot of information. Make sure you look at the show notes. We really want to help you be able to maximize this and be able to prosper long term.
Okay, our success story today comes from David. And David said, almost halfway up rung 4, and it said our rung 4 was more like 9 rungs by itself. And then it said, your life group, small group, was the door we were looking for. To anyone new or struggling, don't quit or get discouraged. Stay persistent and consistent. And that, again, is from David.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so a couple of things I like to point out with success stories. Number one, thanks, David, for taking the time to share that with us. I'm fired up about that. But one of the things I see is he says it's almost halfway up rung number 4. Now, rung number 4 is from the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not ladder, and is on eliminating all non-house, non-business debt. And so he says a statement, our rung 4, it was more like 9 rungs by itself. It's a ladder within the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that's hilarious because that's a good description.
Yeah.
You know, that is when you've got 9 debts and you're paying them off, you're climbing the debt ladder of getting free. And so, David, I heard the way you said that, and I'm working on a new idea of having a ladder within the ladder. And so be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to give David full credit for it because it's such a great idea and such a helpful thing. And he does give great encouragement that I love for all of you podcast listeners to hear. Don't quit. Don't get discouraged. But do stay persistent and consistent. That is how you climb the ladder. Steady and sure, not racing up it, just steady and sure. It wins the race for the turtle over the hare.
Every time.
And it helps you stay on the ladder and not miss a step and fall off and bonk your head.
Yeah.
We want you to win, just like David is. Congrats, David. And we love to hear your success stories. Thanks for sharing that with us. Fired up.
Okay, so now to our featured question. Our question is, I want to hear your thoughts on debt. Dave Ramsey says no to all debt except for maybe a house. Others say use other people's money. I'm so confused. Help.
Oh, this is awesome. And so I think it would be helpful to share a story.
Oh,
You think it'd be helpful?
time.
So we play some music. Story time with Joe. Do you like that? It's pretty good.
Yeah, that was
Excellent.
something.
There was a time when Dave Ramsey was heavily influential figure in my life. I credit him with helping me become debt-free except for my house. Gave me the inspiration to become debt-free, including my house. And then there came a moment where I was entering into the world of business ownership, business expansion, business acquisition. And I started realizing that there's a gap. There's some gaps for me. And one of them is that if I am never, ever, 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 ever again going to have debt, then a lot of my dreams just are never going to get funded. They're just not going to happen. And so I took a plunge and went and got debt when I went and bought a business. And I will tell you that following to the letter of the law of everybody who listens to Dave Ramsey, who is a great financial teacher, that the answer would have been, don't do that.
Right.
But I can say unequivocally, it absolutely changed and transformed the trajectory of my life financially and otherwise. And now we became debt-free with that business 7 years later. That was always been our goal to do that. But had I not taken that debt decision, I would have never been where I am today.
Yeah.
And so I just want to share with you that I've kind of got the marks, the dents, the bumps, the bruises, like many people have, where I've managed debt poorly and how I've managed it successfully. And so today what we're going to be teaching is, kind of out of Megan and I's different relationships with debt, and how Jordan and Megan have related with debt, how I've related with debt. And as I said at the outset, I want you to be able to clearly enunciate what your relationship is with debt and when and how you might use debt in the future for your own life, that you have confidence when you're making debt decisions. And so let's talk with maybe 3 or 4 things to help people understand, is all debt created equal?
Okay, so the first one is not all debt is created equal.
So that is the answer to the question. It is not all created equal. In fact, we used to have a program called the Core Coaching Program. We should bring that back in. We're thinking about doing that in a new way. But we talked about the different types of debt. And I basically put it in 4 categories. And so one of them is terrible debt. It's Charles Barkley, TRBL. It's just terrible. Okay, say that. Say terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. It's just terrible. This is pawn shop loans. This is a payday loan. It's terrible. Don't do that. That is so dumb. It's capital D, capital U, capital M, capital B. Don't do that. You cannot win. No one has came to our office and said, I have won with money. I will all to my payday loan. No one.
Yeah.
So it's just terrible. The interest rates, I've had a person in my office with payday loan, 742.16% interest. That did not include the refinance fee of $90 every 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
This person had paid $1,200 for a $300 loan that they still owed $300 for. Crazy.
That is crazy.
So that's terrible.
Ooh.
And then there's bad debt. That is credit card balances with high interest. I didn't say credit cards with high interest. I said credit card balances with high interest, that you don't pay it off every month. It's just bad. You're not going to win when you're paying 20, 27.99, 15.99% interest. You're just not going to win. And then there's better debt, and that's like a home mortgage. And that's where, listen, it's hard to save up money to pay cash for a house. Did you save up money to pay cash for your house?
We did not.
You did not. Now, it's important to put some money down on your house purchase. It allows you to have a conventional mortgage or qualify for a VA, FHA loan. But it's better debt because part of that payment every month is going into your pocket, building equity of the home. Very important. And if you don't refinance, there will be a day that house pays off. Might be 30 years from now, but it will be paid off. Better debt. And then the fourth one is best debt. If you're going to have debt, this is the type of debt you want. And that is where you have an investment that goes up in value or produces income. So think of a real estate investment or a small business or something like that. Okay? So not all debt is created equal. So when people say debt is dumb and cash is king, that is a true statement. However, not all debt is created equal, and there is such a thing as best debt. And so we're going to talk about that, okay? So the second thing I want to share with you is what? Share it with everybody.
All right. The second thing is think in terms of the I was broke, now I'm not ladder.
Okay, so think about this ladder. Rung number 4 is paying off non-house, non-business debt. If you're watching on YouTube, we have the ladder shown here. You can download a copy, iwbnin.com/ladder. If you have the I was broke, now I'm not book, it's chapter 4. We're talking about eliminating non-house, non-business debt in rung number 4. We're talking about paying off the house and business debt in rung 7. And I want you to think of this. People may not have debt. They're a young family. They're out of college. They've got good jobs, but they want to purchase a house. So they do not have house debt yet.
Right.
So at what rung should they buy the house? They don't have the house debt. So it's when you've achieved rung 3. And you don't jeopardize rungs 1, 2, and 3. Rung 1, you don't jeopardize your plans, hopes, and dreams. In fact, it fulfills one to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
And then secondly, that you save that 1 month's worth of expenses, that emergency fund. So you don't want to use emergency fund money for down payment money. And then number 3, you're contributing enough to get the full company match or $100 a month in your retirement plan. As long as you don't jeopardize 1, 2, and 3, buy the house. Very important to think about that. So that's when you go acquire debt. Think in terms of ladder. But what if you've climbed all the way up the ladder? What if you're all the way up there? Man, you're way up there. You can see all the way around. You've achieved it. You're living that great, fully funded life. And then a business opportunity shows up, but it's going to require some debt. I want you to view this as reaching down and picking up the ladder and pulling it up, that you've reached a new level and there's another level above you. And now you need to reach down, pull up that ladder, and you're actually going to go down maybe to rung 7 and have business debt again. And a real estate investment is business debt, and you're going back up the ladder again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Speak to that.
No, I think that's great. I think a lot of times it's scary once you get to a certain rung to think about going back down. You almost feel like you're backtracking. But like you were talking about with the company that you bought, or a lot of people with different business opportunities, investment properties or a small business or something that you're passionate about or something that you can see creating a different life for your family. I think in that moment, it's okay to say, I might be scared, but we're going to do it. Obviously have wise counsel around you and not just jump into something that could be bad. But,
so good.
But, taking that plunge and making this step and then being able to look back and say, wow, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I stepped down to step back up.
Yeah. And so I like it this way. It doesn't really feel like a step down when you've pulled the ladder up.
Right.
Now you're looking at a new hill to climb. And there's something exciting about me because I like it. It's a risk thing, but it also allows you to go to a new level. So let me give you a right now relevant current example for us here at I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Our team has grown. We now have 21 people associated with all the different things we got cooking. We've been renting space from day one, and we bought a lot. We paid, we financed this purchase of it and paid it off in 4 months. So I can't really say it was long-term debt. and we've sat on that lot now for 4 years. And now the question is, do we build? And so we're facing building our new offices. And the question is, do we do debt or do we pay cash for it? And we're in that cycle again of saying, does it make sense to take all the cash we have accumulated through the years and put it all in this one thing? Or do we use other people's money, so to speak, as best debt, investment debt to build those offices? And it's always a challenge. You make none of these decisions swiftly. But let me tell you, not all debt is created equally. And in an early inclination, I think we might do it. Do I like having debt? Not versus having no debt.
Yeah.
Do I like being a millionaire in debt? Well, I've been a millionaire in debt before. And, it wasn't frightening because we thought through it. We had some important things in place. And it's actually tip number 3 when we look at debt. What is that?
All right. Tip number 3 is margin, margin, margin.
Margin, margin, margin. So when we talk about that, we're talking about saved money. And I've shared the example before that when you had English class and your teacher told you to write this, writing assignment, she gave all these special instructions to write clearly and don't double space. It's got to be single spaced, and don't write in big giant bubble letters so that you can fill up the page faster, and don't write in the margins.
Yep.
And the margin is space on the side of the paper. And so that's why I think they call saved money financial margin, that it provides space in your life that allows you to accommodate curveballs that life will throw your way so that you can still stay the course and climb up the ladder and not be knocked off the ladder.
Yeah. It takes away the stress.
Yes. If you have money in the bank and you have a mortgage, when you first signed for a mortgage, you and Jordan, describe the day when you sat down and you signed on this house.
Well, technically, Jordan bought the house first before we married.
But you were an item.
Yes. Oh, yes,
Okay.
definitely. So, I mean, it's terrifying. The number is rather large that you're signing up for.
Did you attend the closing?
I did not.
No.
Yeah, I still live in North Carolina.
Okay.
And he lived.
So he
was moving
purchased
down
his
here.
house.
Yeah.
And so did he describe any of the feelings that he
Oh,
had?
yeah. He said it was terrifying. He said he had to sign like 18 billion papers.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like you're signing your life away.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pry. I'm going to pry. So listen in, y'all, listeners, as I pry here. When you knew he purchased a house, how did that change your feelings for him in any way? Like, because you saw him take a risk,
Oh, yeah.
but it had to build some level of confidence that says, hey, this guy right here, I need to pay attention to because, I think we might be a good team and could do some things.
Yeah, we knew we were going to get married at that point in time. So obviously we were both looking at the house.
Oh.
But at that time we weren't married, so he was technically buying the
Yeah.
house. But it did provide a lot of confidence in him and knowing that he was going to provide for our future, and he was taking all these steps to to work towards a life that we could have together.
Yeah.
And so it was like super encouraging and super, I don't know, it just was a great moment, I feel like, for me to trust him and knowing that he's going to provide for us and he's got this and he's willing to take this huge risk of this, you know,
he
of a
signed up
mortgage.
for 30 years of payments, I assume. I don't know if it's a 30-year note or not.
It is. Yeah.
So 30 years. I mean, think about faith.
Yeah.
30 years of payments.
Yeah.
So I do want to press in on this just a little bit more. You've now been in that house how long? Or Jordan moved in, then you guys got married.
So April will be 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Never missed a payment.
No.
Now it's part of your life. Do you have any fear related to it?
No.
No. Why? Because you have margin.
Yeah.
Same thing. So for every single person here, debt, your relationship with debt will be directly proportional to how much margin you have. And so it goes to my final thing and number 4, which is what?
Set your own personal rules.
Yeah. So I think it's important to set your own personal rules with debt. And my own rules are crafted from a person I met. His name was Michael. And he was a person I worked with when I was in corporate America. And I realized he was using debt and he had positioned himself to prosper at another level. And I went to lunch with him and asked questions, which is a side note. Proverbs 15:22, plans fail for lack of counsel. With many advisors, they succeed. I went and was bold enough to ask him to help me. And he said, you know, I hear what you're saying about Dave Ramsey, but I've used debt profitably. And he showed me what he had done, and I adopted a lot of his rules for me. I've modified them a little bit for me. But one of them is, I'm not going to do debt on anything that does not go up in value or produce income. Ideally, it will do both, that it goes up in value and produces income.
That's good.
Number 2, I'm not doing any debt that I cannot pay off within 5 years, business debt. And if it's real estate debt, I'm not going to do any real estate debt I cannot pay off in 15 years or less. That's my own personal rules. So think about it. Real estate, no more than 15 years. If it is business debt, no more than 5 years. And no debt on anything that does not go up in value or produce income. So I encourage each of you, think about your relationship with debt. Think about how the lack of margin or having margin influences how you view debt. And then prioritize margin. And I think it'll allow you to take some of those risks that right now would cause a lot of fear in your life and will help you win big time with money.
Yeah. All right. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have questions about any of this, feel free to email us in. We'd love to answer that question. And for our next episode, it could be the most important one we've ever put together. So we're going to be talking about financial anxiety.
Yes. And the reason I want to talk about this is many people, as you've seen in this office that we've met on the road, they're overwhelmed by their money challenges, and it causes them enormous financial harm. And so we're going to do our best, Megan and I, to help you recognize it when it happens in your life and provide ways to navigate it when it does show up. And I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know about you.
Good episode for sure. So if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit. And you could do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving us a review. And these ratings and reviews will help us make our podcast better for other listeners. And also don't forget, if you've implemented one of our tips, make sure you share your success story with us. And you can email it to info@iwbnin.com and we could feature it on the podcast.
I'm so excited as I close this out. I'd encourage you to look at the debt that you have in your life. Is it costing you money or is it producing income for you? Is it causing you to make a payment every month with no hope of it coming back? Or is it helping you build your net worth? I hope it's the latter. And if it's not, climb up the ladder so that you can win with your money and live a fully funded life. Peace out. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.